From Anshe Sfar Beth El Emeth Congregation, it's time to take 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.
Welcome to the Anshe Sfar Beth El Emeth Congregation for our discussion, Parshat Chayay Sarah, the significance of the burial of Sarah. In all of the Torah, no one is buried with such fanfare like Sarah Imenu. Here in our Parsha, an entire chapter devoted to the death and burial of a particular person. At that, a woman. That's surprising in that if we look carefully, nowhere in the Torah are the deaths of women described, except when it is connected with an event. The event of the lack of water in the days of Miriam, the death of the birth of Binyamin, and therefore the death of Rachel. Generally, the deaths of women are not recorded. And here, not only is it recorded, but there's an entire chapter devoted to exactly how her burial was procured, the place was bought, and over and again, it's amazing how many times the Torah says that it was indeed acquired. Vayakam Steifon, it was established, and the sadeh, the field, and the yard, and everything that was there. L'Avraham l'mikna, it was to him a purchase. And Vayakam hasadeh, again, it was established to be a burial place for Sarah. Why the emphasis here at the burial of Sarah? I'd like to share with you a number of medieval commentaries. First, we'll look at the Sephardic commentaries, we'll look at some Ashkenazi commentaries, we'll look at some modern commentaries as well. The Yosef ibn Kaspi, a radical commentary from the 14th century Provence, he says, the reason is because of the greatness of Sarah. And what is so great about Sarah? Interesting, he says, she's Balat Nisim. She's a person of great miracles. When she was with Paro was afflicted with great plagues. When Avimelech took her, he immediately jumped back. She is a woman of great miracles. That's why she is so honored with this unbelievable description of burial. The Rabbeinu Bachye, also 14th century, but in Spain, he says that she was very, very great merit. As Rashi and the Midrash say that there was a special candle lit in her home from week, it would last from one Erev Shabbos to the next. There was always a blessing of lots of dough on her table, and there was an actual cloud over her tent. She was very holy and pious. But also, she died in the land of Israel. She was buried in the land of Israel. She had length of days, and these three things combined make her worthy of a special burial ceremony and description. The Ralbag in 14th century Provence says as follows. He says that it's important for us to learn a lesson that the righteous not be buried next to the wicked. The righteous are going to a very special and beautiful place, and the wicked are going to be destroyed and to absolute destruction. And therefore, it's not worthy of these two, one who is just beginning a new afterlife and one who is coming to a close, to be buried next to each other. And therefore, Sarah teaches us a lesson forever. The righteous should not be buried next to the wicked. The Tzor Hamor, a 15th century exile from Spain and Portugal, he gives two reasons, one more mystical than the other. The first explanation is that it comes to show you that she died with wonderful tidings. What are the wonderful tidings? Well, Rashi says that she died with bad tidings, the tidings that her son was almost killed on the altar, and with that she dies. Tzor Hamor says, what beautiful news she had. When she dies knowing that her son was worthy of being on the altar. He was willing to be on the altar. Her husband is so righteous, and yet he was not killed, and thank God everything's fine. Number two, she was just told that her sister Milcah had given birth to someone who was worthy as a bride to her son. There will be continuity, there will be a bride for Yitzchak. And with this good news, she perishes at an old age, and with good news in her ear. And that's why this story is so significant, and that's why it's juxtaposed as it was to the previous section. He also says that the reason this is such an important story is because Adam and Eve, the original people in this world, they died in sin, and therefore their burial was not complete. The earth could not atone for them. But when it comes to Avraham and Yitzchak, they make a tikkun, a fixing of the very first couple ever to have existed. The Barbanel says that this story is to tell you the Malat Eretz Yisrael, the greatness of the land of Israel and burial in Israel, and the greatness of the tomb of the patriarchs, and how a person should try hard to make sure that he buries the dead properly. It's about the kindness of Abraham. In the Ashkenazic world, the Yosef B'chor Shor, he says that Sarah, it must be so important. Chashuva mikulam. She must be more important than any of the other matriarchs, because her death, and her death alone, is recorded and emphasized. Rabbi Soloveitchik emphasized that there's a story of, I believe it was Queen Victoria, was talking to someone and said that, the Jews are okay, but there's one thing, why do they have to be buried separately? In fact, the French, during Napoleon's Sanhedrin, so-called Sanhedrin, he demanded that the Jews renounce the notion of separate burial. And they did. And the question is, why do we insist on a separate burial? Abraham insists, no, you don't understand, I need a separate place for burial. Why? You heard one answer from the Rabbi. The other answer is it's a basic question of identity. Where you're buried, this is an allusion to your basic destiny, that you have a different destiny in life than anyone else, the unique destiny of the Jewish people. That's why this parsha is so important, to affirm forevermore that the Jew has a unique destiny. And I would add that this is the very first time that Jews set root in the land of Israel. And that's why this story is so important. Sarah came from somewhere else, but now she's buried here, and it's not in someone else's burial grounds. They have their own burial grounds. They're opening a new burial grounds, as if to say, there will be other generations that will be buried here. This is a beginning of a multi-generational family here. It's okay to be buried here. There will be children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren to this day will come to this place to visit this burial, this site of this special place. In this parsha, Sarah has the ultimate merit of being the very first to inaugurate a cemetery in Israel. A cemetery? Why is that so exciting? Cemetery is significant in that it signifies a continuity. A person's not going to be buried in a place where they expect that their grandchildren won't be there. Today, when a Jew is buried in the land of Israel, he knows that the plan is that forevermore the Jewish people will rest in the land of Israel. And in 10 generations and 100 generations from now, someone can come to that place and say, this is the land of Israel. This is where my ancestor was buried, and here he is. And that's what we do today when we go to Marana Machpilah. We go to the tomb of Rachel and other great patriarchs and matriarchs. This was the first. This was the beginning of a statement. We're here, and we're here to stay. It's an achuzat kaver. It's an achuzah. It's a grabbing hold of the land. It's true in the Parshat Lech Lecha, Abraham conquered the land, but conquests can go and come. But a burial place, that is forever. Buried, no intention of reinterment anywhere else. It means that the Jewish people are connected inexorably, forevermore, to the land of Israel. That's the significance of this Parsha. It was Sarah, in her great merit as a great righteous woman, who was the very first to establish and basically consecrate this land as a holy land, a land in which Sarah, our great matriarch, worthy of miracles and great affairs, was so righteous. She is buried in this place. It's a holy land forever, for eternity, for the Jewish people. Thank you for joining us here at the Anshe Sfard Beth El congregation for our discussion of Parshat Chayay Sarah. Feel free to browse our past archives of past years' discussions on each Parsha. And join us again next week for our further discussions. Thank you to Jason Lefkowitz for making today's presentation possible. Thank you.
This has been 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.